All right, welcome back everyone to JFace Games. If you're new to the channel, what we're doing here is exploring RPGs and getting an idea of what we like, what we don't like, because we're trying to make our own RPG. So if you're new to the channel, go back, watch some videos, you'll get an idea of what the pressure system is, which is the RPG I'm trying to create, and hopefully you like it. Hopefully you join our Discord channel. We're having all kinds of fun conversations there, and you're welcome to join in, and there's a lot of people that are talking about their own RPG designs, which is pretty awesome. And so, what are we talking about today? Today is a weird video. It's a little different than other videos I've created. Today we are exploring the Paladin. What does that mean? Well, there are lots of games out there that have Paladin classes. And I'm really screwing the pooch here. There we go. There's lots of games out there that have Paladin classes. And what I wanted to do was look at how other games designed their Paladin and why they made the design choices they did, and kind of get an idea of what's kind of going on, right? Just because to me this was a nice exploration as I'm getting closer in my game to potentially building classes. I thought this might be an interesting way of kind of exploring class design, right? So we're starting off with Dungeon World, and these games were chosen for different reasons, because they span a lot of different powers from very game-changey and characters have a lot of agency to very mechanical, tactical, right? So Dungeon World. First off, with the Paladin, they start off with a quest. And this is pretty cool. I never played Dungeon World. I'd known the rules. I knew that it was designed and built off of the Apocalypse system. And so I knew the mechanics, but I'd never played it and never looked at the actual character design. And I thought this was pretty cool. The idea that you, in essence, have a fill in the blank, similar to Quest RPG, but for your specific Paladin quest, you know? And depending on what you end up choosing here in terms of what kind of quest you're on, then starts to design, well, is this in order to maintain whatever, sort of blessing you have, what's your forbidden aspect, vow to your character? What's your vow, right? Really cool concepts. And so I love this in general, that you establish this vow and establish this quest. And then down here, this is just an example. They have lots of different powers, but this is kind of that you have agency where it's you're trying to use your divine authority. And if you succeed on a check, on a roll, a charisma check, and we don't need to know the mechanics, but if you succeed on a charisma check, which is the Paladins typically in the D&D world, their favored attribute, then all of a sudden this person, whoever you're talking to, has to do what you say. They have to back away cautiously, then flee, or they attack you, right? Like, this is what I mean by this is a system that gains agency. They're saying, I want my Paladin to have authoritativeness in terms of they can decree things, and it comes from a vow of some sort, and this character has restrictions in terms of what they can do because of this vow. And so this is cool because of this. I thought this was a neat little design, right? So that's the Dungeon World, some of the cherry-picked Dungeon World stuff. For the game Quest, what I ended up choosing was they have a class in Quest called the Invoker, and the Invoker to me was the most like a Paladin. It's a weapon-wielding, godly, higher powered, giving them powers. So they have a vow that you can or cannot, like you can choose to take all of these abilities you choose to take if you want to. So this vow, you create a vow that permanently binds you in service to an ideal. You may only do this once. There's no turning back. You express this bond. You must be in a safe place when you create it, something you promise to actively do in service of the ideal. So you have to kind of, once again, you kind of create your bond. What's the vow you're making? Once it's created, you receive these benefits. You can now use your invocability once per game with no AP cost, which unfortunately I did not include their evocability, but all of a sudden you can do that once a game without having to spend AP. And I can tell you from playing Quest, AP goes quick, and it doesn't come back after every encounter. It comes back after every time you sleep, and you get 10, that's it. So that's crazy. The healing effect of your petition ability now affects nearby party members. Your eyes now have a faint glow. So this is cool. You create this vow, and then all of a sudden it's like you're on your quest, and now you get some benefits. You have a sacred obligation to fulfill it each time you betray the promises in your vow. Serious way. Sharp pain. Hit points start going down. Reduce below 5 maximum hit point. Okay, so if you ever go against your vow, the DM hurts you. So the DM is going to be putting you in situations that's testing your vow, probably. Declare. Once per scene, you may declare a reason for intervening in a matter. In essence, you're going to immediately make a successful basic attack. So this is cool. Immediately succeed in attack. Compel an NPC to do what they are doing, to explain what they're doing. So they tell you things. Once again, it's authoritative. Convince commoners to leave. So it's this authoritative nature. Oh, and then there's smite. Good old smite. Massive damage, probably. Hitting it for 10 days. Yeah. I mean, this costs a lot. 5 AP. That's half your AP for the day, which is pretty much like a whole session for a character. So this is now, not only are these paladins, they have a vow, they can declare things and use their authoritative voice almost mystically. They can invoke massive amounts of damage with a weapon when they need to, and they can help people. You summon a magical shield that appears an aura around you and absorbs damage. Okay, so that's how Quest kind of invokes it. So they're really looking into that. Take narrative actions and really change the way the story might unfold, because I can do massive damage and I can declare things. All right. D&D 1, you have your Divine Smite. I think most of these are common for people, but it's Lay on Hands, Divine Smite, Fighting Style. So fighting style, I can actually be good with a sword, good with a two-handed sword, good with a shield, protect people. Lay on Hands, I can give little heals. Channel Divinity, I just wanted to try and pick one oath that I thought was very representative of traditional Paladin, Oath of Devotion. So here it's relying a little bit more on the weapon. So now here there's a little bit more focus on, you have a fighting style. You have a sacred weapon. For 1 minute, you add your charisma modifier to that weapon. So you make it a little bit, and it emanates light. So this feels more holy, feels more beacony. Turn the unholy. There you go. You represent your holy symbol and present prayer, consent, blah, blah. So you turn away undead. Okay. Cool. Cipher. I will say that I think when it came to trying to figure out how to design a paladin, I don't know what half the things are I was choosing in the Cipher system in terms of how impactful are they in the actual game. But from a character design perspective, it was the most fun. And I'll show you why. So first I chose, there's 3 classes you choose, maybe 4 classes you choose from. And I chose the archetype for warrior because this is what you got. This is what I mean. You got these lists of powers that you knew you were going to be having access to. So bash, combat prowess, control the field, improved edge, no need for weapons, overwatch. So this was sort of like, you didn't get all of these. You didn't get to choose some. But to me, this was, okay, we're choosing warrior because the paladins usually get up in people's faces a little bit. They're not ranged in any sense, right? So that made sense to me. Then you choose your flavor. And so here's some of the ones for the flavor. Oh, this was the only one for the flavor. That Blessing of the Gods. As a servant of gods, you can call up blessings in their name. So I thought for sure this would be a paladin, right? That you would have a blessings of the gods. Now, it doesn't have to be. There are other ones that I could have chosen that we could have still made fit, because you'll see some of the locusts down below could fill this role. So that was the cool thing about Cipher, is that it didn't have to be my full flavor. It could have been something else. But the fact that they did have a blessing of the gods, pretty awesome. And then I think you end up choosing the god. Choose 2 of the abilities described. Authoritative law, peace, okay. Benevolence, righteousness. Death, darkness. Desire, love, health. Earth, stone. And this gets a little bit interesting, because this is, once again, you don't have to be a paladin with this. This could be like sky and air. This could be sort of like a druid of some sort. You know, nature, animals, plants. This could be a druid. But if you were going paladin, maybe you're going authoritative law, peace, and then benevolence, righteousness. Maybe these first 2, right? Here are the locusts, though. There's tons of these. You could go blaze with radiance, right? So to me, that sounded pretty cool. Like you're using the power of gods to create radiant damage. Divine blessings, blessings of the gods. Devout follower of divine beings. Defender of the weak, so you can go that route instead. So it's that shield ability that we saw in Quest, where like that's your focus. You're focused on helping, standing for others. Meats of justice, the right wrongs, protect the innocent and punish the guilty. And then here's a bunch of, this is more of like your Judge Dredd type. Stand like a bastion, that's more your shielded armor. Works miracles, healing touch alleviates. You can heal others with a touch, alter time to help others, and generally beloved by everyone. Isn't that nice? So this is what I mean. I think that Cypher does such a wonderful job of all these abilities might be, this gives you +2, this gives you +1. They might be. I don't know. I didn't look into them. Some of them might give you feats or features. But the fact that they bundle them together and then they put it under these headings that are so descriptive, like that part alone was really fun to go through and think about, oh man, what do I want my character to be in that way? So kudos to Cypher in terms of that. That really inspired me. And so I probably want to try and do something similar in some shape, way, or form. And I think that with Cypher, you can technically, you don't have to use these. You can go straight to the abilities and just pick whichever ones you want. But there's something really nice about having those headings. So I was really impressed with that. Open Legend, I didn't go into a ton of this. To be honest, when Open Legend came out as a system, I backed it on Kickstarter and I loved the idea. And I still love the idea. But it's, whereas Cypher was inspiring and sort of, like tantalizing to kind of put together a character, Open Legend was a little bit exhausting because you technically have everything available to you and everything's available and it's only available in mechanics. And it's up to you to package those mechanics with theme. And so what I mean by that is like access to auras, right? So now you can do aura emitting. What that aura does it give shields? Does it give damage? Does it give health? That's up to you. And you can mix and match it with other boons or banes to kind of make it into something, right? So to me, these were the banes: truthfulness, forcing people to tell the truth, provoking, intimidating type stuff. And these were the boons: aura, like emitting some aura, bolstering leadership type others, adding resistance to help others, being able, I put tongues because it's like being able to talk multiple languages, and then true sight, being able to see the truth. Those to me felt like paladin-y things. And then feats are ways to tweak banes and boons and abilities to make them better, right? So then I've got armor mastery, attack redirection, so you're parrying for people, battlefield punisher, So all in all, it's really cool to have a finished product when you've created it, but you don't get the inspiration in terms of like, there's a heading in Cypher that's like, this is what it's going to look like when you add these together. No, you have to have that on your own to begin with, which is still awesome, but it's much more, it's a tougher sell, I think, for new players. I think for other players who have maybe had characters in their past that they love, and they're like, oh, I want to create this character in the Open Legend, then that's awesome. That's really cool. So yeah, those are the things that I thought for Paladins. That made sense. Pathfinder 2, they had this retributive strike. And once again, now we're getting super mechanical density, right? Enemy damages your ally, and both are within 15 feet of you. That's the trigger. You protect the ally, right? You do something, but you get a couple extra pluses. Enemy damages your ally. Both are within 15 feet of you. You do something else. So you can see that both of these are protective. You're this protective force defender near people. But there is an oath. You've sworn an oath to hunt down wicked evil doers. So now you're going to go after someone. You can use your lay on hands to do damage. Okay. Or of courage, you can inspire others. So now here we've got this defending, oathing, inspiring others. Okay. And then finally, we have two more. Oh, I'm going crazy. Let's close all these up. So now we have Savage Worlds. And Savage Worlds was pretty cool too. If you've never played Savage Worlds, it kind of had a similar, to be honest, I didn't realize this, but it had a similar feel to Open Legend when I was creating the character because it's very open-ended. It's almost in between Open Legend and Cypher, right? Because the names are very thematic. So you get this, instead of saying aura, it'll have something, like inspiring or command or holy warrior or these kind of things. So the names are a little bit more evocative, but they're not bundled together. You pick and choose from all of them. But these are all the things that kind of can make a character, is that you're going to have these hindrances. And so these might be the hindrances, which is very interesting to think about, because in the other systems, you wouldn't have thought of the vowel as a hindrance. You would think of it as, oh, this is the core of my character. This is the cool thing. Now, it could be, the DM could twist it like a hindrance. But in Savage Worlds, it is laid out as this is a hindrance. So that's interesting to think about in terms of that design context, right? And then you get to choose edges, and these are all different edges and different groups of edges. And you can see here that the one that I thought was most indicative of a paladin was this champion under the weird edges. And I forget what exactly that was. I believe it was, let me peek over here real quick, that champion was, so once again, it's +2 damage versus supernaturally evil creatures. So it's not crazy in terms, it's still very, this is a very tactical game. So it ends up being very tactical, even though it sounds very thematic. It sounds thematic, but it's very tactical, right? So let's look at another example, like Holy Warrior. That's a power edge, right? So a Holy Warrior, what was the Holy Warrior one? That was add +1 to +4 to soak rolls for each power point spent. So it allows you to absorb damage potentially. So once again, sounds amazing in terms of, oh, this is my power edge. The actual ability, highly tactical, highly specific. So I don't know if this will flavor-wise feel like a paladin. You probably have to RPM a lot. And then finally we have Easy D6. And so Easy D6, great game. I ended up choosing the warrior as the inclination. So you have these different base classes. And they had a base class that was like a friar, but that plays more like a cleric or like a priest, potentially. Whereas we were looking for how would we make a paladin? And so you're probably going to choose warrior. So now you have this heavy armor, and you are good with shields, and you can strike things, brutal strikes, which could be kind of like a divine strike. And so you're able to dish out a little damage, but you're very tanky, right? But then you have these inclinations, and the inclinations are then what flavor your characters in Easy D6, right? These are the things that maybe you've chose someone who's nimble or warrior, but then you take something like cat-like, and now you're really good at, you can only ever be knocked prone under certain situations because you're really quick. Well, the ones I thought for paladin would be like hatred of the undead. So you're very good at fighting undead. That makes it very paladin-y. Born blessed, you start each session with a little bit more karma, meaning that to me that sounds like, okay, maybe you've got some holiness from the gods that's kind of empowering you, right? So that's kind of cool. Devout, which was your pious follower. You get on your deity for meal. Okay, so you are a pious follower and can call on your deity for miracles, but the gods are okay. So now you can actually use the miracles. I guess you can't use the miracles as base, but devout allows you to have miracles. That's a different mechanic in the game, so that makes sense. Faithful, demons and undead can only hit you with a 5+, so that's nice. You're better against the undead and the demons because you've got holy protection. And then inspiring, you can share your karma points with anyone. So now you've potentially got more karma because you're blessed, and you can share it with more people because you're inspiring. So that's kind of a cool little blend for a paladin. So I don't know what you guys think about this video. I think it's really interesting to go through different classes, through different systems. And I think that, I find it interesting having gone through this now, especially now talking through it again, because I just kind of compiled everything and now I'm talking through it, that you can probably hear in my voice which ones I get more excited about. And so which ones I get more excited about, that's probably the way I need to lean for my own game design, is trying to think about, I think that for me, Dungeon World Quest, Cypher, and Easy D6 were the ones that were most inspiring. And what's cool about that is that some of those, the top two, Dungeon World and Quest, are very open-ended, sort of thematic, lots of power. Easy D6 is technically very tactical its design, but it's mechanical, right? It's very mechanical in its design, but it's still very thematic. So I think that they do a great job with that. And then those cipher clusters of stuff, I love it. Anyways, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, that's a weird way to end it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, leave some comments. Love to hear what you're thinking. I'm probably going to do this again for the fighter and the wizard or something like that. But let me know what you think. All right, guys.